Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Partickhill Station, everyone on YouTube and those watching through StreamYard. Just give me a heads up if you can hear me. Matty Matman, that's good. I'm glad you can hear me. It's always a challenge, and on a regular basis I get presented with audio video challenges, usually just before I go live. So I've been down with a bit of the flu the last week. I had gone out and used the snowblower on, I may have mentioned, my driveway and then the two neighbours. And then another day I walked to the bank and back, and that took 2 hours because of the snow. Hi Andrew, and that was a bit of a mistake on my part. So I guess I got exposed to whatever, and I was ill for a few days, and then I went and got tested for COVID. Fortunately, it came back negative, but I'm still feeling a bit of a low ebb right now. Hopefully it'll improve in a couple of days. Joshua, W56, Disneyland. Love it. Been there a few times with the kids. And Joanne and I went there a few years ago on our own. And we went on the Harry Potter ride. And oh my God, I was so ill that, partway into the ride, I had to close my eyes because I was just totally disoriented and feeling sick. And when we got off the ride, we had to sit in this little area until we sort of normalised. It was awful. And I guess that's what happens when you get older. You're just not able to do these things. The brain and the body just don't work together. So that's the E3001 that's running there, and the Fife and Forfar Yeomanry. So I've been going through. Clive, good afternoon. How is the weather in Northern Ireland? So since our last chat, I've been going through the process of trying to analyse and get the Aurora, the E2, working again. And after some research and recalling discussions that I had with 00 Bill, I pulled out the Class 31 just to have a look at it. And see if I can get this open. Right, so I'm just going to see if I can show you something here. Let me move this camera. Okay, so this is what I discovered. It wasn't the first one. It's the, let me just get this opened up. I'm taking this screw off. It's difficult to getting it on, but it's important to see. So what has happened here is just get the pointing stick here. Okay, so you see this little washer with the little piece that sticks out. Well, that was on this one, but it wasn't on that one, and that's the Aurora. Now, I've been unable to find that piece for this. I don't know what's happened to it, but when I took this one out, that fell apart. Well, there's Lee. Good afternoon. So this little washer piece here fell apart, and I had to put it back in and then try and solder it back on. Sorry, in a second, feel a wee bit of a problem. So hang on, bear with me. Trying to go through all the things here. There we go. So I'm just going to leave that until we get through this exercise. So I was able to solder that back on again. Put it all back together. Tested it for continuity. And then put it back on the track. And of course, it wouldn't run. And I cleaned up as much as I could. So I'm not really sure what the issue is there. And then just as an exercise, I took that washer off and I put it on to this one, and that didn't work either. And once again, you know, I cleaned the pickups and the wheels, and I greased it and oiled it. And I cleaned what I could of the armature and the pickups there and brushes, and still didn't get it running. So that's a sort of fail. So I'm just going to have to keep working away at this to see if I can get it going, get one of them going. But I think in the meantime, I will order from Lendon's or someplace a couple of these washers. That screw in there, because it seems to be a bit on the short side. You know, once you put that washer on and then put the screw on with a little copper plate, and it's difficult to get it all back together. You can see here there's not a lot of room there. So if I order a couple of those washers, a couple of those screws, that might help it. But this one is further complicated because it's got lights, and you can see there's a fair bit of wiring in there coming from the rear bogie. And it also lights up the front and the back. And they work. As soon as I put it on the track, they work. So that tells me the power is getting from that rear bogie, those pickups, over to here, and then out onto the lights. So process of elimination here. The camera, it's not working right now, so I'm going to do this. I know you've all been looking forward to seeing this. Okay, so the main topic for today is the yeah, I'll have a look at that pipe. So I decided that what I should do is do a test installation for the bridge, and this makes for a nice scenic barrier change. And in fact, I'm sure Tony Northeastern, when he sees this, he'll say, "Charlie, that's just like mine. You've copied me." Well, actually, I was inspired, as you know, Tony. But, you know, originally this was supposed to be for a second level. And as I explained, that never really worked out. So I decided to use what was really great. Put a couple of buses on there, a few people walking over it. And it looks pretty good. So, evening bill. So once again, it was all. I'll just go over the construction details. The main spans were cut from mat board. I've got a set of trammels from my shipyard days, and I laid the arches out with the help of the trammels, and then I cut the main red span, and then measured the length of the top and bottom flanges, and cut them out of the same mat board. And I used PVA glue to hold it all together. Now, I was surprised that, while there is some warpage, there isn't a lot. And as you can see here, you might be able to see a little bit. But once I get the tie beams in, that will help, and then you won't really notice it. Now for the fence, part of the citizen safety, I'd gone to the hardware store, automotive parts, and found this Bondo screen, which is used in fixing car bodies. And I thought, well, that's perfect. I should be able to use that. And I measured it out and cut the appropriate size, and then I tied it all together with what suggests handrail. And for that, I used it's like garden wire. Got it in the store, in the dollar store actually. Like a pack of it for $2 or $3. And this is what worked out perfectly. And then the pavement was just a piece of card scored the slab, painted it with paint, and then stuck it in there. And then for the roadway, I decided that I'd use 150 grit sandpaper, and that was perfect. So it's come together really well, and to finish it off, I think I might put in some W sections spanning across in this direction. This looks like a good enough height, and I'll build up the support and then cut it out so that it's recessed into the support, and I'll probably use the same material as it did for my retaining wall. I'll tie it all together. So I'm very happy with that. It turned out really good. And then if I turn around the other end, and that's those Partickhill wheel stimpers. I'll come up with something there. Excuse me. Terrible gesture. So I'm just going to go over the situation with the E2 for Bill's benefit. Because I'm sure he'll have something useful to say. So here I've got the two motors, one from this class 31, and I think you had mentioned that, Bill, similar, and the one from the Aurora. So when I took this apart, I found the little washer there. Found the little washer with the little tab on it, but it fell apart as soon as I took it off. So then I had to solder it back on, and then I put it onto the one for the E2, put it all back together again, and before I put it on the track, I tested it, for continuity all around, and I had continuity, as I did with this one. And with this one, it's wired back to the rear axle for pickups and for the lights at the front and back. And as soon as I put that on the track, they lit up. There's no power going to the motor. Now, I cleaned the brushes, I cleaned the pickups, I greased the cogs, I went into the armature and I did my best to clean that. So I'm not really sure what to do next, other than just break the whole thing down and start again, basically, on both of them. But in the meantime, I'll order a couple of these washers and a couple of those screws, because the screw might not be long enough and I'm not getting proper or full engagement. That may or may not be the issue. So that's where I am with those two motors, not making any headway with them. And then another thing came up. I was trying to do a clean up here. So this is a Eurostar, and we had these two wires coming from the opposite end. Now, what I did was I attached them here, the condenser there, but that never did anything. So I'm thinking, well, maybe these have to go there and there. Just wondering if you could get my drift. Because I was picking up from the front bogey, it goes up here, you can get that out there, and then it goes back down to the motor. So maybe I should be looking up to the bogies. What do you think? Yeah, it does, Tom. Let's stick a battery on it that runs. So there's always something, and you know that's something you have to consider when you're buying locals. Because you buy second hand, you could be inheriting someone else's problem, just like a car. So you should go fully equipped when you go to buy something at a show. You know, take a battery with you. Take one of these. The only problem with this one is it doesn't beep, so you got to, as Bill pointed out, yeah, that's you got to get the one that beeps. It makes it so much easier. So those are Lima wagons that built by that E3000. I've had them for a number of years too. I haven't run them that often. Yeah, you're right, Tom. Yeah, get one that beeps, Phil. You're 100% correct. So I read a post this morning on MRYCG from Jack Carter. Now, if you haven't read it, I just suggest that everybody go into MRYCG and search for Jack and read his post. Very disturbing because he's been affected very badly by COVID. Been overwhelmed by all the restrictions. Good evening, Alan Reynolds. I sent him a note of encouragement, and you know, if you're watching or listening, Jack, you know, wishing you all the best, and I just hope that everybody else can just take 2 minutes out of the time and send the guy a friendly note of encouragement. And if anybody lives in his area, you know, give him a call, walk over to his place and stand outside and chat to him, whatever it takes. He's obviously going through a hard time, and as a community, we really should do our best to try and help each other, especially in times like this. Yeah, I've got it set to ohms. And if I go from the wheel to the commutator, it's, you know, about 0.116. It jumps around a bit. Yeah, I'm really not sure what I should be looking for, but there's something there anyway. Yeah, they're both coming up like 0.1, 1.6, 1.4, 1.5. Yeah, wheel to wheel. Um, you know, it's 0.007, 0.01, 0.6. I've got a tail something here. Somehow a couple of coaches dropped off. Some of them jumped on a point. I'm just going to change something up here and see how this old 9F runs. So that's an old 9F that, as I told you before, I purchased many years ago through eBay from a guy in England, and it was heavily weathered. I thought, yeah, it's very unusual. Good job. It fits in with those cement tanks. Yes, Alan, I did. Took both of them apart, more or less stripped it all the way down, and I'll probably have to go back in again and do the same thing over. Now, I have the maintenance sheet for this. So I have the yeah. I have the part numbers, but what I did notice is there seems to be an additional washer listed. and I'm not sure if that's the insulated washer, but I'll check that out. It's just frustrating that I can't get this, can't get them to work. And they're both the same, obviously, get the same problem. Yeah, there's an interesting thing. The wheels aren't turning on that. Just going to clear that out. The wee insulator isn't insulating. Okay, so what you're saying is that the little insulator down there on the one side, and this one's come off. It's probably around there somewhere. Anyway, so that little insulator in there, it is there. Maybe it needs replaced. Now, the question is, can I just go to the electronics store and find one of those? I guess it should be easy to pick one up, because there is an electronics store that I visit every now and again if I feel inclined to try and do some LED project or something like that. Oh, I see. Just strip a wire out. Yeah, okay, I'll try that. Okay, I can go to the automotive hardware store. Seem to have a. I don't know who this gentleman is. Anybody recognise him? So there, that Duchess is running very well, as is the Queen Mother there. So a couple of things I'm going to have to work on is the tenement building in the background. I've been delaying putting it together and finishing it off because I've toyed with the idea of putting LED lights in it, but you know, that's not really necessary. I should probably glue the walls in, fix it up, and then get the roof on it. Run out of ink on my printer upstairs, so I need to go to the Staples or Home Depot, not Home Office or whatever it's called, and get some printing done. So anybody out there going to any shows coming up? Have they started opening up those things yet? And of course, I also have to go back to the print shop and get some additional brick papers printed. Have a look here and get that side done. I'm just still trying to figure exactly how much space I'm going to take up with this. That might look pretty good with some townscape in there. So has anybody bought anything new? Yeah, Bill, did you get something in the mail recently? Another project to work on? So then I guess one other thing I need to discuss, and Bill alluded to it yesterday, I think it was, when he gave us a tour of the layout, how he had enhanced it, isolated some of the tracks, and as he said, you know, it had to be done to prevent mysterious movements, and that's something that happens here on Partickhill Station. I can have something on an adjacent track in a loop, and you know, every now and again it will move a little bit. And I believe this is because I don't have any isolated joints. Now I've got the isolated fish plates. I can put them on, but if I do that, and this is where you need to correct me, Bill. I would need to add in additional wires. So there's that 5 and 4 have just moved again. I think what happens is every time one of the other locos goes over an adjacent point, it just sends the current up the line, and yeah, there it goes again. So I think that's the problem. So maybe so in this case here, yeah, see there it just moved. So something caused it to move there. So what I'm thinking is I need to have, I presume I've got to have isolated joints in the ends of each of those points. And if I do that, then that requires a bit more work. As Bill said, need to put in some toggles, switches. It'd be nice if you'd sit down with somebody and say, okay, show me what I should do here. And I guess I'll need to wait until at the next show. Yeah, I need to wait for the next show, and then I can chat with somebody about it. I don't think that might happen until May at the very earliest. Yeah, you see that 5th and 4th are, just watch, see if it happens here. Yeah, so as soon as it crosses over through this point, that moves. It's on a different track, so it's obviously the Duchess. See what happens when the Duchess comes in. Yeah, so when that Duchess goes across that point, it's sending current along that line there. And that's causing that to move. Well, I can't be great at everything, and it's a learning process, so that's why we're all here. Oh, they're insult frogs. Is that right, Tom? Is that what they actually call it? I'll set up a Zoom call. Yeah. Yeah, might be able to do that. Cut the track, solder a wire either side, and route wires through on-off switch. I'm presuming that's along the same lines as a shuttle, because, you know, when I was trying to find the shuttle unit, I've been watching Mark do his, and he had the type where you had to put dials on the track, which would, through the PCB, would cause the train to stop as it entered into that cut section. So when I put it in, I thought that would work just fine for the shuttle, but the problem was I got the wrong, in the first instance I got the wrong PCB, and then in the second instance, yeah, I got the right one, but there was a secondary one that I should have bought with it. Whereas if I bought the one from PCC Concepts, whatever, you don't need the dials. So many things. Just create a little dead zone downstream of a point or upstream. Yeah, I guess it depends which way it's running. Yeah, I can always stick in a couple of isolated fish plates and then see what happens. And I guess I would run a wire from before the isolator to the toggle, from a toggle beyond the isolator. I guess that's what we're talking about. Yeah, me too. I'd settle to be great at something, but you know, I've got a number of interests, and you know, I've been doing the YouTube thing for 8 years or something, and you know, I've gone through sort of hips and valleys in terms of how many subscribers that I have. And it was explained to me that, well, Charlie, I know you like doing travel videos, and I know you like doing art videos, and I know you like doing car videos, etc., etc. But if someone is interested in model railways and is into your site, they don't want to be looking at travel videos, as an example. So, in the last number of months, I kind of backed away from doing all this other stuff and just focused on the model railways. And the sketching that I do, it goes on Instagram. Okay, Alan, we'll see you. Thanks for dropping by. I look forward to see what you've got next, maybe later this evening. So, you know, because it's interesting. Okay, let's look at Double O Bill. He's got a very good following because he provides detailed, interesting, technical servicing videos that are well produced, documented, instructive, clear, and that's what people like to see, because everybody's got very similar type of Flymo, good afternoon, how are you? Nice of you to drop by. What's happening at your place? And so, you know, he's due the reward of getting subscribers, because everybody's got those type of locomotives, and everybody's got those problems, and not everybody's got the skill sets to deal with it and fix the problem. And so Bill has become your go-to man, just like John Champs. Like John Champs was a huge asset to the community, and it's just unfortunate that he's not making any videos. And you know, you can go down the list. Just get the tea on. Yeah, that sounds nice. I'll let you wait for a while. So, you know, Double O'Neill, he's done really well over the last year, and his videos are well organized, and he has a variety of topics. Now he's gotten into the 3D printing in a big way, and he's reaping the rewards for his labour, right? And more power to him. So you look at everybody's videos, their channel, and they've all got something to offer, whether it's a different personality, different type of layout, different type of locomotives, problem solving, landscaping, whatever. Everybody's got something that they want to share, and it doesn't really matter if you've got 100 subscribers or 5,000 subscribers. It's just that somewhere along the line in your algorithm with YouTube, that you're able to reach more people that are looking for the type of topic that you're showing or discussing. So, and that's the key. I mean, we all want to improve your channel, and you know, so you can do things like I've focused on the branding of my channel, which is on my thumbnails. I always have this blue background with yellow text and a photograph that describes what the text is basically saying, and then in the description I have something similar. And of course, you know, you think about it, you've got to either know about or learn a little bit of electronics, electricity, model making, analytical skills to look at a locomotive and find out why it's failing to proceed, and so on and so forth. So it really is an interesting and diverse hobby with lots of facets to it. Yeah, the electronic breadboard, good idea for testing things. So we haven't had snow for a couple of days, although it was minus 21 overnight. And what that means is whatever snow we have out there, it's kind of frozen. And that's why you've got to get out early and move the snow before it freezes over. Those little white wagons, that's my fish wagons. They're Airfix kits. And I got them years and years ago at a train show. They were in a box. I think there may have been about 9 or 10 of them. Them along with the blue cement Airfix kits. They were all built somewhere in a pretty sad state of disrepair and weren't really useful, but I was able to salvage a number of them and get them to the point where they would run okay. And so I've got a couple of 4Fs, and often I'll get the 4F out and put on as many of those fish wagons, fish vans as I have. Let them run around. Yeah, that's Clive. That's a bit of a problem. Having to climb up into the loft and then up and under, and stretching over, and all that kind of stuff. If your back is giving you problems. When I built this one, I didn't know any better, and so it's a rectangle with a hole in the middle. And what I should have done was I should have made a lift out section. But you're not to know that, and so whenever I come in, I've got to crawl underneath the table. Yeah, well, Mark, that's part of the process. And you can turn that to your advantage and make a series of short little videos on how you've got things organised. I think you've partially done that. I saw you talking about the boxes the other day. So, here are all my locomotives, and there's the track, and so on and so forth. And here is the process of construction, right? People will watch lots of stuff if it's interesting, and some of you guys I know might be out on the road just listening in, and that's great because it makes a change from music, and you get a bit of dialogue going between the guys, and you'll always pick up on something. Yeah, how are you today, Bernie? Well, what else would you be doing on a Wednesday afternoon? You know, so when this is all done and I get things organised and get those GUVs back in boxes out the way, I might start the process of fitting some of those isolators and see what happens. Well, it's a very bright, sunny day here. You can probably see how the light's coming in there. You can see the fence between us and the next door neighbour. There's still snow on top of the fence. The blue skies. It's always very deceiving. Yeah, it was a perfect example. And you probably saw this, the track cleaner. Works a treat. Should keep an eye out for one of those. And the other thing is, look at this sponge. Now, this product is called Mr. Clean. Now, all I do with this is rub it along that, and you see it picks up all the crap. See that? I don't know if you have Mr. Clean over in the UK. sent a couple out to a few people. If anybody's interested, let me know and I'll see what I can do. But it really works. You don't need to wet it. You just have to rub it on the track. You don't need to rub it hard. And it picks up dirt if there's no tomorrow. I just seem to have a couple of bad spots here. So I bought this little camera. But I haven't really figured it out. It should be relatively simple. You know, there's a power button and there's a record button. But this is the sequence of events that you've got to get your head around. But I thought that'd be a nice addition to get it sitting on one of the wagons, maybe in the front of a locomotive going around. And it'd be fairly simple to keep one of these little things with China. I got one of those cameras and sent back because it didn't work. Got another one that didn't work either. Yeah, Bill, I think that's probably the end result here. And I did read a couple of reviews. Somebody said rubbish, doesn't work, disappointed, etc., etc. I guess you just have to be careful what you buy. Well, Flymo, the jury's still out, as they say. There are some that do work quite well. It's just a case of finding the right one. I've got a GoPro. Of course, it is larger. And you just, have to make sure you're not going to be running into any platforms or such. Oh, and Bill, talking about platforms, the platforms that I've got here, Well, I've got two kinds. Those ones, of course, are the Hornby ones. However, these ones here were made by a friend of mine. It's just a piece of foam with a bit of carved on the top for the platform. Or another way to do it is get two pieces of drywall and glue them together. I think it's like 19 millimeters or whatever it is. So you might want to measure it, and then next time you're in the hardware store, see if we get these scrap pieces and try it out. Well, Flymo, the technology is just it's there. You can get smaller and smaller things, and more often than not, they will all work. However, with mass production using cheap materials, more often than not, you end up with some pretty poor quality stuff. Yeah, a cube's a cube to a blind man, that's for sure. And I still have that cricket machine. And I just haven't had the time to sit down and devote to it because it's capable of doing great stuff. But of course, you have to go into the little design package and then draw out what it is you want to cut. And it sounds simple enough, and it really is quite simple because most things that we'd be looking at would be square, rectangle, for walls, windows, etc., etc. And it's got a great level of accuracy and can cut up to just under 2 millimeters very effectively. And then, of course, the other thing is the 3D printer. The resin printer provides a great level of quality, especially if you're doing, like, you can do figures, and they'll come out really well, and the finished surface is much better. It just takes a little bit more work than the filament printers, and it's a filament printer that I have, and you can see if I hold that up there, you can see the lines of it, but if you painted it, you wouldn't really notice. So it depends what it is you want to do. And of course, how much you want to spend. And there's a strip that I painted up. That was done on a resin printer. Well, guys, we're getting to the end here. It's an hour and 21 minutes and counting. I think I've covered a few topics today and got some good feedback from you on isolating points and toggles, and I've seen the tiny camera units for the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, actually, Flymo, I've got a Raspberry Pi and I've got the camera, and that's a good point. I should bring it out and see what it will do. That's a good reminder for me, Flymo. That's good. So, so for the coming week, I'm going to work on these two motors for the Class 31 and the PM2. See if I can get at least one of them working, and then I'll send off to one of the suppliers and get some spares that will help you get through the process. Yeah, Flymo, the 3D printers are great things. You know, and for the uninitiated, you know, what you can do is you can buy the 3D printer, and then you can go into the various sites and you know, you can either download for free what they offer, or you can print your own and then paint them. And I printed some of my own, and I printed some that I downloaded. And this was one of the very first things that I've done. We'll just get this into position here. Right, so this was downloaded from one of the sites, and then I painted it, and it turned out really well. So if you need buffers, that's the way to go. So it doesn't require that you have a lot of technical ability. The software packages, when you download something, you can download a free slicer, if you're familiar with the term, and you just import the downloaded file into it, and it will process it, and then you transfer that data to the printer, either hardwired or by a micro card. So it's pretty user friendly. Yeah, take it easy, Clive. Thanks for dropping by. Anyway, guys, once again, thanks very much for dropping by to Partickhill Station. Really appreciate it, and it was a good chat, and learned something new again as usual, which is a great thing, and we'll see if we can improve on it. So everybody, stay safe, and remember, as I said, drop Jack Carter a note, just say hi, give him your support, and you know, whatever you can do, you know, to help out, I'm sure it'd be greatly appreciated. Anyway, all the best, and all being well, we'll see you here at Partickhill Station next Wednesday, usual time, 1 o'clock, Eastern Standard Time, which is 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And remember to give me the big thumbs up. Those of you who might be watching on YouTube, I really appreciate that. And I hope you enjoyed seeing the test installation of the bridge. Have a good evening. Bye for now.